What's up, guys, and welcome back to my reading journey. Hope you're all doing fine. And today I'm reading the second part, the final part of Dougherty's Eye Opener. So, let's do this. Big Jim Dougherty was troubled. There was a being at his side whom he didn't know. He thought of the sober-hued plumage. That his bird of paradise was accustomed to wear in her cage, and this winged revelation puzzled him. In some way, she reminded him of the Dahlia Cullen that he had married 4 years before. Shyly and rather awkwardly, he stayed at her, he stalked at her right hand. "After dinner, I'll take you back home, Dahlia," said Mr. Dougherty, "and then I'll drop back up to Selder's with the boys. You can have swell chalk tonight if you want it. I made a winning on Anaconda yesterday, so you can go as far as you like." Mr. Dougherty was intended to make the outing with his unwanted wife, an inconspicuous one. Wow. Uxoriousness. No idea what does it mean. Uxoriousness was a weakness that the precepts of the Caribs did not countenance. If any of his friends of the track, the billiard cloth, or the square circle had wives, they had never complained of the fact in public. There were a number of table d'hôte places on the cross streets near the broad and shining way, and to one of these he had purposed to escort her so the bustle might not be removed from the light of his domesticity. But while on the way, Mr. Dougherty altered those intentions. He had been casting stealthy glances at his attractive companion, and he was seized with the conviction that she was not selling platter. He resolved to parade with his wife past Selder's Cafe, where at this time the number of his tribe would be gathered to view the daily evening procession. Yes, and he would take her to dine at Hughley's, the swellest slow lunch warehouse at the line. He said to himself. The congregation of smooth-faced tribal gentlemen were on watch at Selder's. As Mr. Dougherty and his reorganized Dahlia passed they stared momentarily petrified, and then removed their hats, a performance as usual to them as was the astonishing innovation presented to their gaze by Big Jim. On the latter gentleman's impassive face, massive. There appeared a slight flicker of triumph, a faint flicker, no more to be observed than the expression called there by the draft of little Casina to a four-card spade flush. Hughley's was animated, electric lights shone, as indeed they were expected to do. And the napery, the glassware and the flowers also meritoriously performed the spectacular duties required of them. The guests were numerous, well dressed, and gay. A waiter, not necessary, a basquios, conducted Big Jim Dougherty and his wife to the table. Plated menu straight across for what you like, Deli, said Big Jim. It's your for the oldie. It's you for a through of the gladiator oats tonight. It strikes me that maybe we've been sticking too fast to home fodder. Big Jim's wife gave her order. He looked at her with respect. She had mentioned truffles, and he had not known that she knew that truffles were, from the wine list she designated, an appropriate and desirable brand. He looked at her with some admiration. She was beaming with the innocent excitement that woman derives from the exercise of her gregariousness, full of new words. This story is, yeah. She was talking to him about 100 things with animation and delight. As the meal progressed, her cheeks, colorless from a life indoors, took on a delicate flush. Big Jim looked around the room and saw that none of the women there had her charm. And then he thought of the 3 years she had suffered immurement, uncomplaining, and a flush of shame warmed him. For he cared fair play as an item in his creed. But when the Honorable Patrick Corrigan, leader in Dougherty's district and a friend of his, saw them and came over to the table, matters got to the three-quarter stretch. The Honorable Patrick was a gallant man, both in deeds and words. As for the Blarney Stone, his previous actions toward it must have been pronounced. Heavy damages for breach of promise could surely have been obtained had the Blarney Stone seen fit to sue the Honorable Patrick. Jimmy, old man, he called. He clapped Dougherty on his back. He shone like a midday sun upon Delia. Honorable Mr. Corrigan, Mrs. Dougherty. The Honorable Patrick became a fountain of entertainment and admiration. The waiter had to fetch a third chair for him. He made another at the table, and the wine glasses were refilled. You selfish old rascal, he exclaimed, shaking an arch finger at Big Jim to have kept Mrs. Dougherty a secret from us. And then Big Jim Dougherty, who was no talker, sat down and saw the wife who had dined every evening for 3 years at home blossom like a fairy flower. Quick, witty, charming, full of light and ready talk, she received an experienced attack of the Honorable Patrick on the field of repartee and surprised. One question delighted him. She unfolded her long close petals. Nobody what's this. And around her the room became a garden. They tried to include Big Jim in the conversation, but he was without a vocabulary. That's not a good situation so far. And then a stray bunch of politicians and good fellows who lived for sport came into the room. They saw Big Jim and the leader, and over they came and were made acquainted with Mrs. Dougherty. And in few minutes she was holding a saloon. Half of a dozen men surrounded her, courtiers all, and 6 found her capable of charming. Big Jim sat grim and kept saying to himself, 3 years, 3 years. The dinner came to an end. The Honorable Patrick reached for Mrs. Dougherty's cloak, but that was a matter of action instead of words, and Dougherty's big hand got it first by 2 seconds. While the farewells were being said at the door of Honorable Patrick smote Dougherty mightily between the shoulders. Jimmy, me boy, he declared in a giant whisper, the madame is a jewel of the first water. You're a lucky dog. Big Jim walked homeward with his wife. She seemed quite as pleased with the lights and show windows in the streets as with the lights and show windows in the streets as with the admiration of the man in Hogleys. As they passed Salzers, they heard the sound of many voices in the cafe. The boys would be starting the drinks around and discussing past performances. At the door of their home, Delia paused. The pleasure of the outing radiated softly from her countenance. She could not hope for Jim of evenings, but the glory of these one would lighten her lonely hours for a long time. Thank you for taking me out, Jim, she said gratefully. You'll be going back up to Salder's now, of course. To with Salder's, said Big Jim impatiently, and the Pat Corrigan. Does he think I haven't got any eyes? And the door closed behind both of them. Probably I would not go to Salder's for hanging out with guys at this particular moment. Yeah, I would not do this. Nobody would do this, right? Yeah. So, take care of your boys and girls and take them out. Sometimes, yeah. Thank you for listening to me today, guys, and see you tomorrow on the next good story. Thank you. Bye.